I have to say, I really loved the lecture that I went to with the Despelote creator. Like, it was so good.
Yeah,
and,
that
like,
sounded great. Yeah.
Criminally attended.
Underattended, yeah.
I was like 12 people, I want to say, or like no more than 20.
I almost wonder.
And
like,
also, yeah.
I was gonna say, sorry, with Toronto Games Week, I always wonder if like they spread themselves too thin, because like they have so many events, and it's like, what do you even go to, right? Like, if they had like maybe half the amount, it would have bigger attendance.
And especially Saturday, Sunday, I think most of the events are centered on that. And then, there's so much overlap those 2 days.
Yeah.
I think someone also said that that event, at least the Despelote one, was added late. So maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
That's what I thought, because I didn't think I saw it in the original schedule.
Yeah. And I kind of felt bad just because it's like, oh, this guy came all the way from Ecuador, or I think he lives in New York, actually. But it was great. Like, just if you saw the host or if you saw him going through, I didn't feel like, oh, there's only 10 people here and I'm sad or anything. Like, he was still pretty engaged about the whole thing, and it was great.
Well, it's like what we were saying about this group, right? At a certain number, you can have too many people. A smaller crowd is easier to have discussions. So
that's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, there's active participants, and then there's like passive ones, right? So like, there's always going to be like maybe like 10 people who are engaging, and then like there could be like 20 who are just more or less listening and then like talking in the chat or whatever. Hey Justin, hey, is it Liam that joined just earlier? I think you like literally just joined like a second ago, like joined the group, I think. Anyways, nice to have you. Hope you enjoyed the discussion.
That's me. Sorry, I just got my mic working.
Oh yeah, no, all good. We're just gonna hang out for a bit while people trickle in, just in case there's any more. We'll probably start around 7:05-ish, so feel free to hang out or talk among yourselves.
Just consulting my notes right now.
Oh, cool. You have notes? Did you finish the game, Graham?
Oh yeah, baby.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool. What sucks though, okay, here's something. I get obsessed with like getting 100% and stuff for the most part. Like, I definitely wouldn't get all the achievements because those were crazy, but like getting all the items, like if I marginally like a game, I have to do it. It's just an obsession of mine. So I was going for all the whatever, like the 100%. But I got a glitch where like I got 2 keys, I guess, or keys.
Yeah.
And it made my total like, let's say 51 out of 50. And then there's one person where like if you find all the keys, you get like a special item or something like that goes to the 100% completion. But it said, oh, you have -1 keys. Like it kind of did a weird Stack Overflow or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get 100%. So like, even though I technically got everything,
in your heart, you got 100%. That's all that matters.
Exactly. I actually emailed them just like the Yacht Games or whatever, just be like, oh, there's a glitch.
Hey,
and they like messaged back saying, that's like,
wow.
It's a known glitch, and like I'm playing on Switch too, and apparently they had patched it out on PC, but they get 100%. Do have Gravy Cred, just so everyone knows.
Oh, that's good to hear that they got back to you like immediately.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising actually. But
should have given the link to the Discord.
Yeah, true. In case everyone else had any problems.
Okay. I think if Matt and I were kind of talking about this earlier, if like the dev of a game we're talking about were in here, I think it would make the conversation a totally different vibe. I don't ever want that to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my god, if we had the Angeline era, that would just be an insane, like, everyone's like gotta like,
Although I get the impression they would have enjoyed that everyone was kind of going crazy over it.
I mean,
possibly, yeah.
That dev, I can't understand them. They're very, on one hand, they almost seem to like the criticism, but also they don't. They're strange. Yeah.
I feel like they've just been in the trenches of like message boards their whole lives, and they kind of know the game, and they're like, one way is to kind of take the sort of stoic angle and just be like, you know what, like, yeah, let the criticism wash over me. But then there's also like the just like defend on every front, like any criticism of the game is like, they're just wrong, or didn't get it, or not my style, but use their own.
Okay. Let me just check how many I'm expecting, and then maybe we can jump in. Okay, so Udon is out. Aiden, we don't know about. Matt's out. I'm so sad that Matroid Matt is not joining because, like, I know he was really into the game and he had a lot to say about it, but that's okay. Okay, let's go over. Actually, before we get started, let me pause the music. All right, I'm gonna go over my preamble just for perpetuity for anyone else. Oh, Aiden did show up. Cool. All right, let me get started. Let me pull up my little script here. I know some of you have heard this many times already, but I have to do it every time just for new people. Okay. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining us for June's Game of the Month chat on Mina the Hollower. This is the first time where we actually didn't vote on a game. My game was just like so big and anticipated. I'm like, and it was releasing right at the start of the month. So I'm like, okay, you know what? This is like perfect. Let's do this. Let's jump on it while it's popular and topical. So generally how this works is we will introduce the game in a month with a little bit of basic trivia. The host, in this case me, will start with their initial thoughts, then ask the rest of the club some questions on the game, and I'll also be doing my best to moderate. And the game options of July will be revealed at the end of this discussion. So at the end of this discussion, I will reveal 4 new games that we're going to vote on for the game that we'll be playing for July, and then I'll be posting a poll in the Discord. And also, while we're all talking here about the game, please take advantage of the chat window here in the call. You'll see it's like right here. I'm scrolling up and down it. If you don't see it, it's like the little chat bubble in the top right. If you click on it, it'll open it up. It's great for any like nonverbal types, or like if you want to speak while the people are speaking, I'll keep an eye on it, stuff like that. And there are no upcoming events, so I don't need to mention that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for now. So let's move over into the discussion.
Yay!
All right. Hey. All right. So Mina the Hollower. Where do we begin? This, if you don't know, there are screenshots up on the screen right now. It is a 2D game developed by Yacht Club Games, who are the developers of Shovel Knight, which was also like a critically acclaimed 2D kind of like throwback game. So this game very much aesthetically and in some ways like its sort of mechanics, its gameplay plays a lot of homage to like Game Boy Color games back in the day, or even just any old like pixel art type games from like that generation. Very much evoking like the Zelda Oracle games, if you've seen that. But outside of that, the gameplay at times is quite innovative and modern, right? It has a lot of quality of life improvements that you would expect from a modern game. But then the audio, like the sound effects and the music sound so authentic to that era. So it's a really great mix of like old and new. The game released just a month ago, and I believe it's getting like critically well received. I actually really haven't been paying attention to reviews. I just assume people love it, but you know, maybe we'll find out here what people's criticisms are. I'm actually excited to hear that. The main thing of this game is, so it's 2D top down. You move up, down, left, right. And you play as this character named Mina, who is like a small mouse, and her whole thing is she's a hollower. And what is a hollower? Hollower is someone who burrows into the ground, which is like the main key mechanic of this game. And what's cool about hollowing, in my opinion, and really cool about this game, is like once you learn to hollow, which is when you bury yourself under the ground. Let me just play a quick little video here so we can see what I'm talking about. Right. So when you jump up in the air, you can choose to hollow into the ground, which burrows you underneath. But the thing is, this hollowing mechanic, it acts as so many different things. It acts as your dash. It acts as your dodge. It acts as a way to like uncover puzzles and move things around. And like, it kind of like has like multi-purposes without even realizing it. And so it kind of just like seamlessly acts as all these different tools, even if it is just like, you know, yeah, I'm just burrowing on the ground, I'm moving around, but then it does all these other different things. So it's just, to me, it's like very mechanically satisfying. And it's something that like you can get better at and learn how to take advantage of more as the game goes on. So within this game too, there's also 4 main weapon types you can choose from. There's like a hammer, there's a shield, there's a whip that's like very like Castlevania vibes, and there's like your 2 knives. You can upgrade those as you go.
There's a fifth one too.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the gun.
Oh yeah, there's the gun, right. I never used it, so I forgot about it. But that'll also be an interesting discussion point. So depending on what weapon you choose at the beginning, you might gravitate to a certain play style, right? Eventually you can unlock all the weapons and, pick and choose them as you see fit. The other thing this game has going for it is it has all these different trinkets. And what do these trinkets do? They add different little gameplay adjustments and advantages, right? I'm going to go over the trinkets more in depth later. But an interesting thing about this game, in my opinion, is the difficulty is a little all over the place, right? It starts off extremely hard because your character is very weak. And towards the end, you get a bit stronger. And it's because of your upgrades and all your trinkets that you kind of feel a little bit more powerful, or you're also more familiar with the mechanics. But with the trinkets, depending on what order you get them in and what kind of trinkets you have, you can really cheese some parts of the game. And that's something I really enjoy with player freedom. Most of the time in 2D top-down action games, especially ones evoking this era, there's one way to play the game. You can only go this far until you unlock this item, and now you can go this much further. Now you're a little bit stronger. But with this game, it's I'm going to take advantage of all these trinkets and make this one section of the game as easy for me as possible. And we'll get into that in more depth later. But personally, I love the game. I was eating it up. I couldn't wait to play more of it every night. There was times where it really pushed back and it was difficult, but I thought it was tough, but I also thought it was fair because of the trinkets and things like that, and because you could go back and do things in different orders. I will say the game even has a little bit of if you ever played in the Souls type games, in terms of the map design, has a little bit of that going on, where as you progress, you hit a rope down or hit a ladder down, and suddenly you can get to a previous area much faster, right? Which is very much in line with the kind of map design you see in Souls games, but in a 2D environment. But yeah, those are my initial thoughts. I want to pass over, let's say, to Graham, just to get just tell me maybe your initial impressions and ultimately, did you you said you 100% of the game, or you tried to. So I assume that you were really into it.
Yeah, it's when I finished the game, I was just thinking man, that was a solid game. I'll talk about, I guess, final thoughts later on. But yeah, I was just thinking it did everything well. Whatever its mission statement was, it knocked it out of the park. It was obviously, trying to emulate as you were saying, the games of that era. Most likely Link's Awakening. There's a lot of overlap there.
Yeah.
A lot of Mega Man too, I found, in terms of you have the 6, let's call them temples or whatever, dungeons. And there's the different Castlevania style weapons or secondary weapons you can get.
I didn't even touch on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them are, for the most part, contained to certain areas. You're more likely to find, I don't know, the fishing rod in the swamp, let's say. But they can have actually pretty big impacts to other areas of the game. So, for instance, there's that, it's a green dashing ability that makes you pass through enemies and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You pick that up, I think in the graveyard is where you first find it. And maybe, obviously it shows up in other places, but if you bring it over to the beach, there's these rolling eyeballs that you can, usually can't destroy in it, as far as I could tell, any other way. Using that ability destroys them. And so it's kind of that Mega Man, I brought the bubble gun to the whatever Stone Man level, and now I'm kicking ass. Whereas on my first playthrough, I started off on the stone level and it was a hard time because, you didn't have that power up. So I kind of like that kind of discovery element of it, where it's almost what's the weakness of this enemy, or what power-ups are strong in this area and whatnot. And just I love the, just kind of the overall discovery of the whole game. Every screen has a secret on it, basically. Yeah. There's always going to be a hidden, one of those yellow gem things. And I love how it's completely non-linear in terms of, like you were saying, how you discover abilities, how you discover trinkets. You could find kind of accidentally a game-breaking trinket combo that trivializes a lot of stuff or makes a lot of it easy. For instance, I went to the Bone Beach early, and there's a trinket that makes you consistently burrow in the ground, and I was using that for the rest of the game. I'm like, God, I'm glad I found this early because it's like, literally a game changer.
That like breaks water areas. I found out because
oh yeah, like there's a whole exactly. There's a raft item, and I didn't touch it because it's like, oh, I have this. It's better than the raft. Like you don't have to waste anything.
Yeah,
and you can get it like as early as you want.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely appreciate it, especially if you're like a replayer that's like, or for a speedrunner or trying to get every single achievement. Like that definitely like spices up the game where you can, do whatever you want. You do something new every single playthrough, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go in reverse order. I'm going to, not use X, Y, Z. So yeah, I thought that was really cool.
To your point about the sidearms, and this also kind of goes for the trinkets and all the other secrets. There are secrets all over the game. It's not like, oh, there's one secret, and if you're lucky, you'll find it. Like it's almost impossible not to find secrets, and sometimes within secret rooms, there's more secret rooms, right? It's like it really rewards like you're discovering things and exploring. But also it's like, yeah, if I take this axe sidearm to this other area where you can't find an axe sidearm, you can like break open something you couldn't normally reach or something like that, right? Or where there's like certain challenges where like if you have the right trinket combination, then you can beat the challenge, right? And all sorts of things like that. I don't know. Does anyone here want to like touch on the story? Because like I thought it was interesting, but of course we're like kind of thinking of the story secondary.
I think I've liked the story the more I've sat on it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was initially very surprised because I was sort of expecting something straightforward, but with a couple twists, like Shovel Knight. But instead, I feel like the game had a pretty like simple message that it commits to in smart ways. Because I think from the start you should be suspicious of Lionel, but he's always so genuine throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Like the twist isn't really that he's evil because he looks like that, and you see the entire time that like Spark's fucking things up and creating all the monsters you're fighting.
Yeah.
But seeing the actual townspeople turn on you was, I think, a very, very good twist. Because that made me realize, oh, maybe the people I'm fighting for are all petty assholes who'd be fine with this.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't played or finished the game, this is a spoiler, but we're going to talk about the end of the game. At the end, basically, yeah, all the townspeople and everyone even kind of like, you feel like you've been doing good deeds for. You're fixing these spark generators for the greater good. And then at the end, they go over, and I'm sure it's different for every person based on your actions. It's like, you did all these awful things. You thought you were like getting items, but you're actually breaking all these street lamps. You're like loitering, you're littering, or you're like, you're giving this person like drugs when like you were just giving them like a potion or something, right? Like all these like kind of like things that they twisted like the perspective basically.
Some of them are actually just bad, and I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I wasn't thinking. Like, because the orphans can be like, you stole our presents, and I'm like, I did do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're just doing the things that you think the game wants you to do, right?
Yeah, it gave
like,
me $200
on you. Yeah.
I feel like it was almost that aspect of the game where it's like they kind of like grill you. It feels like it's almost like that is also derived from Legend of Zelda, where like you're going into people's houses and like breaking pots and like doing whatever you want, and it's like, what if like a game actually like called you out on that? It's like, and then you get to that, when you get to the end of Mina and that happens, that scene, you are like, oh yeah, like I like half the stuff they're saying is like, yeah, that's like a crime I committed, like, yeah. I thought that was smart for sure.
Yeah, and then in the end, you're essentially like driven out of the town. I think there's different endings depending on what you do. I definitely didn't get I did like 80%, so I definitely didn't get whatever the good ending was, but yeah.
There's only one alternate ending, and to get that alternate ending, you need to be completely blameless. Everything that you described that they catch you for, you have to avoid absolutely everything, and that's the only way to get a different ending.
That's so cool. That's so much more interesting than like just get all the items.
It's really like it's one of the hardest things too, because you have to not break a candle. Like that's something you absentmindedly do the whole game.
Okay, I wanted to go over like a fun little game here, where if everyone can look at the screen that I'm streaming right now. So there's 60 or 61 trinkets in the game. I'm going to like rapid fire go over all the trinkets just like real quick. And if you have something to say about them, or like if you have some kind of feeling towards it, like you're like, if it's a trinket you stuck with the whole time or whatever, then like, speak up or say so, or say something in the chat. All right.
Okay.
And then we'll do the same thing for weapons after, since there's only like 5 of them.
We have the icons, because I might not recognize them by name.
Exactly. I do have them there.
Okay.
Do you see them there? Can everyone see the trinkets? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Okay, so we have the lace glove, the twill weave. I'm not going to read the description unless someone wants to get into it. The smelling salts, brisk brew, seismic belt. I experimented with some of those, but I don't think I used any of them.
I tried the brisk brew, but there's something about it changing your movement randomly that messes with the muscle memory, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
Fair.
Yeah, I tried it too.
Yeah.
I actually liked it a lot because it let you just get out of the way after squeezing in another attack. But I was also prone to taking damage from how fast I moved after.
Actually, that's another thing too. There was times where, sometimes you'd have to retread areas. And so the first time you go through it, you're taking your time, you're killing every enemy, and you're trying to get to the boss. And then the second time you have to retread an area, you're just burrowing and skipping past everyone, just taking hits, you're just muscling through it. Okay. Will-o'-the-wisp, Helio-the-wisp, Carry-the-wisp, Windfall Charm, Chain Capacitor.
I hated Carry the Wisp. It just messed up all my muscle memory when I floated after a jump.
I very briefly did the Helio-the-wisp, but there was better options than that.
I think that carry is good for crossing gaps, and I do like that there's a lot of solutions for crossing gaps in this game, early.
Totally.
And you get carry early enough so it matters. But in terms of actual, I use this during both combat and exploration, I would just use it during exploration. I think that, also before I forget, I think Brisk Brew, I used it a lot for the whip just because it makes spacing really good. You can get to the crit distance super easily if you can run to it and then run away.
Okay. Spike spurs. At the beginning, I had that on all the time. But eventually it became kind of useless. Desperation Bonnet, Solenoid, Flybait, and Protospark. Protospark to me is the MVP. I think that's the always equipped one.
You had to have it pretty much at all times.
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious to hear if anyone didn't.
I actually didn't use Protospark once.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't use it either.
What?
See, that's so interesting because you would think you get something like that essentially gives you a second life. You're everyone's going to use this, right?
My thought was just, well, if I invest into something like a healing build, then I'll just not die.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
I was using the Solenoid all the time, by the way. Just sucking up all those delicious bones. Had to have them.
I actually think I never even found that. There's so many of these I must have missed. The other thing too, speaking of bones, we didn't touch on is it kind of does that Dark Souls thing where when you die, you kind of lose all your souls, or in this case, bones. You have one chance to recover them. I think at the beginning of the game that was more frustrating than towards the end when it was a bit easier to store your stuff.
Yeah, totally. I do appreciate it though.
And I mentioned this in the Discord chat before, but I kind of respect how easy it is to miss things in this game. Where in a world where games don't want you to miss anything, they kind of want to hold your hand and be like, "Hey, please don't miss this really important thing. Let's throw yellow paint on it or whatever." It's for example, the Hollowers Guild, which I think is almost essential, right? Because of the upgrades you can do to your underlab. I didn't even notice that until after I got my first 2 Protosparks, and I was oh, I haven't been in this building. And I was oh, wait, what the hell? It's there's so many things like that. You could have a completely cursed playthrough if you wanted to. But yeah. Okay, next up we have the primed vial pouch.
Oh, VIP, 100% that one.
Yeah.
I think as soon as I equipped it, I never took it off the entire game.
I don't think I used. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just a health glutton. I just love I think someone else was talking about this in the Discord, but you can kind of cheese your way into not being that dodgy or strategic and just kind of smacking stuff and tanking all the hits. And I think for most of the game I did that. I think in the beginning I was trying to do dodging strategically and stuff, but then it was I got this primed vial pouch, I can just smack stuff
Tank it?
without thinking too much. Yeah, which is satisfying in its own.
The flame guard, Matt. I know you mentioned you found the flame guard after it kind of like it didn't really have a purpose anymore.
Yeah,
I think that just like when you find it though, it's like after all the fire stuff, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that before I forget, Flybait is really good exploration wise, and it's good for more bosses than you'd think because they keep spawning enemies. But it's also, like a lot of bosses, like the third spark generator bosses, will spawn little enemies, and it's kind of just dependent on that if it's worth bringing to a fight.
Yeah, I tried it a little bit, but I didn't find it was like effective enough.
They don't block shots, which disappointed me.
Spark catcher, evasion powder, and vascular syrup. So I actually used a vascular syrup. That was kind of like me like tanking things. That's the one where like it makes your health go down slowly. So basically if you take a hit, even if it's like a killing blow, you still have a chance to like recover basically because your health's going down like very slowly.
I guess in that scenario you wouldn't need the proto spark, right? Because you'd see death coming.
No, I still need it. just to be safe. Okay, pit preserver, iron lung, tumbling tutu, glutton's jug, plasma jug, uranium bracelet. I occasionally used a pit preserver in like some really tricky platforming areas where I was getting frustrated. I would just like equip it and then unequip it. Basically, it gives you like, if you fall into a hole, it gives you like a second little jump to recover.
It's very useful for that area.
Okay.
It can cheese a lot of platforming actually if you want to use it for that.
Yeah, if you use like we'll get to it later, but in combination of like the spider web and stuff. Bubble ring.
I forgot to mention, but plasma jug is like the center of my build. Because if you just keep attacking, you can get over, like the fact that it gives you over health or over plasma for like attacks basically means that you can stock up a bunch of healing and get like guaranteed heals before you even enter a fight sometimes.
I didn't even realize that. I never used it. I guess I think I got to a certain point towards the end of the game where I was like happy with my build. There's only one trinket where it was like late game that I actually really enjoyed it and I kept it on, which we'll get to later. But okay, bubble ring, shock flint, intravenous vial, pneumatic armlet, and starving BCM. I don't know what any of these are, and I never use them. I mean, I recognize them, but I definitely never equipped them.
Bubble ring was pretty good. Yeah. It's good for especially the 2 daggers I found, just because you're attacking quickly already. And certain bosses, again, when you just want to tank through everything, you're just like, I'm done dodging everything. I just want to like get this guy down to 0. Like I found the bubble ring would come in clutch sometimes. It was nice towards the end when like you start off with like, I think maybe how many trinket slots you start off with? Is it just 1 or is it 3 or 2? I think just 1 actually, but anyways, well, towards the end you get like 5 or 6 or something, right? And when you have that many, it's like you don't have to be picky and choosy anymore. You can actually start to experiment, which is nice.
Ooh, I forgot to mention. I'm sorry for going backwards so much, but this one's a really fun fact. The uranium bracelet is something that you can get really early if you beat the Nether Kraken. And every speedrun I've seen, I think, uses it right away because it's like early game double damage, but you take more damage. And I think that's actually a pretty cool thing to like start the game off with if you're really good enough to beat that boss. Is that the boss that attacks you on the boat? Which is I didn't think you could beat it, but you can.
There's other games that I've done it in the past where like they give you an incredibly hard enemy. It feels like you're supposed to lose, but then it's like, what if I beat the person, right? Okay, we have draining BCM, reckless BCM, volatile BCM, burning BCM, warding BCM. I didn't use any of these either. Anybody?
I think there's a side quest where if you collect all 6 bestiums and present it to a guy in the astral Ori, you get something. I didn't complete it though, so I'm wondering if anyone did.
I'm just realizing I didn't finish the Keers quest either, where like you have to go back to that guy after collecting enough Keers.
There's so many Keers.
Yeah.
I think both of those give you Bone Stone as their reward.
Okay, we have the Dummy Cache, Blinking Glass, Watchful Eye, Bridge Weaver, Vile Salvo. I definitely use a Bridge Weaver now and then, just for like certain areas where I'm like, I want to save myself the trouble of falling. And also, it just makes it easier to get to certain areas.
This game kind of is actually a platformer in a lot of ways, even though it's top down. Yeah.
Did anyone, sorry. Did anyone
Go ahead,
use
Justin or Aiden?
Did anyone use blinking glass? Because items like this, I feel like are 50-50 on they're good or not. But I remember that like Hollow Knight had an item similar to this, like brief invincibility period at random, that was really good. And I wondered if it was like a similar case here or not.
I tried using it and I just didn't find it consistent enough where I'm like, I'd rather have something like, say, even one defense more, which is consistently one defense more than something that may work.
Yeah, instead of relying on like RNG or whatever, like just randomized.
Yeah.
I did use the vial salvo a little bit, I experimented with it at the end, and it was kind of neat, but it wasn't like something I kept.
Yeah, there were some very nasty platforming sections I remember where I think if I had Bridge Weaver, it would have been a lot better. Like on the way to Sandfalls, there was this mine where the only paths you wouldn't fall through were lit up by gold sparks, and you kind of had to just traverse it blind if you didn't have the right trinkets. Section. Yeah. Also, in the mansion, there was this one level just filled with mouse traps. Yeah. And if you had Bridge Weaver, it makes it a lot easier.
I thought, like, whenever you get hit as Mina, she makes like this really adorable, like, mouse-like noise. But then when you get hit by a mouse trap, because she is a mouse, it's like the most like traumatic like noise that she makes. And and the only time you hear it is like when she hits by a mouse trap, because it's like, you know, the ultimate weapon for her.
And I probably hit every single mouse trap accidentally. And it's just like, oh God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you feel bad. Okay. Dodging pendulum. So this is the one that I used towards the end that I thought was like super cool, because it's like if you just jump when the enemy tries to attack you, it makes the game go in slow motion, and it's like a very cool effect, and it's also very effective. But that was like an end or late game kind of pickup. Spring Heels, Walrus Gauntlets. This I actually feel like is like super important, almost game breaky type thing, because they give it to you pretty early. Like, hey, to get across this area, you can be a wallower instead of a hollower, where like they could dig into walls. But then like it also makes a lot of platforming redundant, because you can just like go on a wall and go crazy with like hollowing and wallowing back and forth. Not every section, but for a lot of sections I found.
That's fun.
Yeah. Oozing Organ.
I had a lot of trouble with the Walrus Gauntlets, because sometimes I would want to burrow under a fence.
Yes.
And it would try and get me just to burrow into the fence. So I just ended up not using Walrus Gauntlets.
That was frustrating for sure. I would definitely equip them when I didn't want them or didn't need them, because that would happen to me all the time. Oozing Organ and Volaptic Guard. So Oozing Organ is one of those ones where like it does damage when you're burrowing. There's a few of those. I didn't really care for any of those. I don't know if anyone else did, like those types of trinkets.
I want to know.
You go.
I want to know whose idea it was to make Spring Heels like the last trinket you get. Because by the time you do, I'm like, there's nothing left, man. What am I going to jump over? It feels like an item that is like made for an item had to probably be there to be the last one, but sadly I just think that means that you're only going to see it in like a randomizer run.
Yeah, unless like, I mean, because there are so many different ways you can kind of approach the progress of this game. Like there are places you can revisit that like you didn't really explore, right? So like even like, so all the major regions are on screen here as well. So for Nox's Bayou, which is like the swampy area, it took me a long time to actually find the boss, and I sort of accidentally like started going a different direction, and I didn't actually finish that boss until the very end when I was like overpowered. So like there's definitely sections like that or moments like that where you can kind of come back later and be like, oh shit, I have all these trinkets now and I'm just going to burn through this boss.
It does feel like the game is sort of tuned for, there's so much about the game, all the extra modifiers and the new game plus for replaying and replaying and replaying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that was their intention.
Okay, we had the Repulsing Root, Lightning Grip, Dead Leaf, Niter Belt and Bellows Bustle. I did occasionally use the Dead Leaf. I wish I had the Dead Leaf during the lightning section, because like then you can just avoid all lightning at all times, lightning strikes. But outside of that, I didn't use any of the other ones. Anybody
I think
else?
I used Dead Leaf during the very last. There's like one section in the last level where you're like the screen's kind of scrolling slowly and you're kind of like platforming and dodging stuff. And I think like a bunch of like tiles are flying at you or something like that. I think I put the Dead Leaf for that and just like again tanked everything and didn't have to worry about dodging or that platforming or anything like that.
It's nice when a game makes you feel like you're smarter than the game. You're like, oh, I bet you they didn't think of me doing this, but like they definitely did.
I will say that oh wait, could you go back a bit? I forgot what was. Yeah, Bellows Bustle is annoying to get, but it was another mainstay for me because just having an actual air dash made it really easy to just like air dash, burrow. You can get away really fast.
I always kept, you know how you can in your underlab you can keep a secondary item there, like a sidearm.
Yeah.
I always kept the shield there because the shield made it so like it was my air dash basically, and I could like get over gaps so much easier.
Yeah, that's also good to do. I like that there's a lot of options.
Totally, yeah. There's so many different ways.
Some of the trinkets like that one, for instance, like the air dash. It's like I was just like a latent ability or like a what do you call it? A passive ability that you could just always use without a trinket because it's like I want to try this ability out and have it in my repertoire, but like I have to sacrifice a trinket space for it. It's like, all right, you didn't make the cut, and it's like, oh, I'd love to be using it, but it's just that's the only biggest gripe with the trinket system, I'd say for me.
You're not going to sacrifice a protospark that just like burned in there, the image.
Exactly.
Tunneling codex, drool syringe. Polyp lamp, thermal pack, counter vial. I did use the polyp lamp a bit towards the end because I'm like, it just makes those dark areas like pretty much a lot easier. It gives you like essentially like a lantern around you at all times.
Yeah, you don't get jump scared by that creepy guy.
Yeah. Wait, which guy? Which guy?
Oh, so if you're in like complete darkness for like, they just showed it on screen actually.
Yeah,
if you're in complete darkness for like something like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, the screen kind of pulses a couple times and some like monster thing grabs Mina and like literally the whole screen fills up with like a jump scare face and you get sent back like as if you fell into a pit kind of.
What? I had no idea. I that would
first time it happened to me, I was like,
same. I had the
and it scared the shit out of me. There's a couple of like jump scares. There's like some scary stuff.
Oh yeah, like with the carving man, like the pumpkin dude who's like on screen there. That I love that section because it was like straight up like, you know, for a game with like a cutesy 2D aesthetic that you feel like is for kids, it's like it's not. It's quite dark, like, you know, especially like with the deaths and stuff. Oh, that was a jump scare there. Yeah, I remember being in a dark and like the screen would pulse once in a while, and I would just think like, oh, this is just the game helping me so I can see a little bit because I've been in the dark for a while.
Exactly.
But yeah,
and that's
if that
what
happened,
that's how it got me. Yeah,
because I was playing like late at night, you know, with like good speaker system, like on the Switch on the TV, and like I would have definitely like yelped.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened with me. I was in a part where I didn't have the lamp and it was pitch black, and I was like, I'm just gonna like use this pulsing system. Like I could probably figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
The three was just like, oh god, I'm screwed.
You fell for their trap.
Yeah. There's another creepy part where like you if you find like a couple of shops, like some guy uses you as like a marionette. I don't know if people got that scene.
Oh, I got that. The pop.
Oh yeah, no, I got
like
to that. Yeah.
And then like that scene was kind of unnerving too. It's just like, okay, this is
and then it gives you the ability to dance whenever you want. But was there any like purpose for it?
No, just for fun.
I kept trying to use it like in the dance hall, but yeah, I couldn't find any like at least monetary reason to use it.
Okay, we'll go to the next set, and these are. Oh, that was it. That was the end of it.
Those were the trinkets.
Nice.
Oh, wait, actually, I think that one we didn't see.
Which?
That is actually the best one.
The plasma funnel was so good. Yes.
I wish
you could just like drink health stuff faster. Yeah, it was so like for boss fights especially, like it was a must-have.
Oh yeah, I guess that was in the wrong order for some reason. Yeah, so there's just this one here. Yeah, deboning wand. Yeah, that was an annoying trinket. Yeah, I use
Well, if you have a
Plasma
magnet
Funnel
with
was
the
one of the ones I
disposable
also had like on lock. That one was always on, or pretty frequently.
Steady shoes working on stairs is actually kind of an underrated use for them with areas like Queensbury Crypt.
Yeah, no, I had to stay shoes on as well for most of the game, just because like it just sped things up a little bit, and
Especially
I wasn't
for
going to
like ice.
Yeah, actually, I had those on the whole time, so like I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be slipping on the ice, but like I never did because of that.
It was good for me in Noxus Bayou because it actually works when you're burrowing underwater. So you could get further, even though the water would be slowing you down normally.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that's how it was because I always had them on. I didn't know. Okay,
That's
so
the cool thing about the game, though, is that there's so many different,
like permutations.
ways you can kind of go through it. Exactly. So it's like, you can replay it and be like, oh, I'm going to try this way first. And it's like, why is this game like so much harder than I remember? Or something like that,
I mean, the amount of modifiers really makes me think of the amount of testing they had to do to make sure everything really works and fits together. It actually scares me a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of modifiers, like Matt, I think you were saying that like for like accessibility, like you could change and tune the difficulty quite a bit if you wanted to. Like I never actually looked at that, but like what were the options? Do you remember?
I mean, there's so many, but I think there is just a straightforward, easy option that sets a whole collection of different stuff. I think it maybe reduces the fall damage and reduces the damage. There's ones that you can make yourself straight invincible, and there's even ones you can make yourself larger. Weird stuff like that. Yeah, so just almost too many options. It's a little intimidating.
Yeah, it's almost like so many accessibility options, but the accessibility menu is inaccessible because there's too many options.
Because there's even one I was messing around with. There's one that makes you think, why did they even implement this? So there's one that spins the screen. The screen just constantly does a 360 rotation, and I'm trying to wonder, will we ever see a Twitch streamer try that as a challenge run?
Yeah.
Or is that just too much?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
That's just like a streamer bait or something.
Yeah.
You've heard of Mina the Hollower. Now get ready for Spina the Hollower.
Hey, there we go.
So
all these sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Justin.
With all these trinkets and weapon combinations, I would have loved to see some kind of like preset system so that there is like you don't have to manually swap out your stuff every time. Gives you more room to experiment.
Pretty nice.
Oh, like loadouts or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like this is your so-and-so loadout. I mean, the game is pretty much like, I would say it has all the nooks and crannies like figured out. Like it's almost perfect, but that is one feature they could include that was not there. So regarding the weapons, I'm very curious like what people went with. So I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I took an unconventional choice. And like at the very beginning, I chose the hammer because I just think a hammer is like a cool ass weapon. And I recognized right away, like this is probably not people's first choice because it's a little hard to use because you have to load it up. It takes a second and then you can do a cool little dodge thing, but like you're pretty vulnerable. Mm-hmm. But with that hammer upgraded, it was so incredibly strong that it made me like not want to go back to any other weapons. I'm like, if I can just get good at using this, I'm gonna like blast through bosses. And then I did because like it'll just tank their health like crazy. There was times though where I would like experiment with other weapons, and like I think my secondary was like the two swords because like that was like a pretty good balance of being like fast and strong. But yeah, the hammer was like my number one for sure. I'm curious to hear like what other people like stuck with.
I was a boring vanilla bitch and stuck with the whip the whole time, which apparently is also decently hard, I would say. But like, it's also got the longest reach, which
yeah.
Besides the battery basher, I hope I got the name right.
Is that the shield?
The gun.
No, the gun.
Gun. I keep forgetting about the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I tried the gun out because I'm like, oh, maybe those make the game like pretty easy, but it just seems so weak. And I don't know, something about like landing those hammer hits like did something for me. But yeah, with the whip is cool because you can do like the Castlevania thing where you just like you keep shaking it around, which is great for like, a bunch of small enemies or whatever.
I like that its upgrades focus on spacing with like getting a crit if you're at the very tip of the whip and then like the wiggle it around thing again.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I would say it's a pretty good weapon to just use on your first time through. I'm happy with playing through it. Although I I think my next playthrough would probably be daggers because those seem really fun.
Yeah, the daggers are just so fast, and like one of the upgrades is interesting where it's almost like a dash hit, and you can like use it like over gaps and stuff, and it'll bounce off enemies. But yeah, super cool. I just think like each weapon is like quite diverse in terms of how they function. Like normally in all games, I'm like a big defense guy, and so if there's like a shield, I'm going to use that. And in this game, I like just did not care for it for some reason. But Matt, what was your like weapon of choice? I'm sure you experimented, but like.
Actually, not too much. I'm the type of guy who, I also picked the quote unquote default, the first option it presents you, because I'm most interested in seeing what they thought the default option should be, I think. And I didn't want to get too weird with it. I don't know if my brain had the patience for learning the hammer and especially the timing of like the shield parry thing. No way.
Yeah, I think for me it was like situation based, or like if I needed something quick and the hammer was too slow, I would just go back to the daggers or even the whip. But,
I did kind of want to try the daggers because they seem pretty straightforward, but I don't know if I'll ever get around to like the game was good, and like I said, it has all these options for retrying it, but I don't know if I actually will. I actually found it very this is a little bit of a tangent that I've just thought of, but as much as that is all the options, I actually didn't even my drive to 100% it was actually pretty low, even though I loved the game. I thought it was great, and I think most of that is the map. The fact that there is no map, there's no way to track. There is a lot of ways to fast travel, but you just have to remember it. It's all has to be in your head. And I found a lot of the areas as well, you can go to them in any direction, but they are sort of pretty linear. A lot of them are very much gauntlets that you have to get through. And so going for 100%, you really just have to run through the gauntlet and find little ways off. It's not like the Game Boy Color Zelda maps, where the Zelda maps they are an exact square where you can go in any direction from any screen in most of the map. A lot of the maps are not quite like that. So I don't know, as much as the game kind of evokes that, exploration wise, I found it very not that satisfying, and so I don't know.
Yeah, it's more like it goes out like a spider, right? It's like you have to choose your linear directions to go to, and then you can maybe fast travel back.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to like 100%ing, I mean, I'm not someone who ever really has like the interest to 100%, unless if it happens, it happens. But it's like there's just too many games to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I'll go through my playthrough, I'll try and get as much as I can, and I'll like maybe revisit a couple areas once or twice, and then like that's it. But I do think I agree. Like it's kind of suspicious that there isn't like a proper like in-depth map. Like there's a map you can look at. It's like an overworld map, and it'll be like, okay, like there's some things over here you missed, but it's not really pushing you in any direction, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think that the upgrade that you get eventually, where you can see the skull on your UI blinking, does help a bit.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that was super helpful upgrade.
That helped me a lot for cleanup. I will say that I did 100% and I enjoyed it, but I would also say I wish they didn't include Bone Stone on 100% because there's some evil hidden ones. And like, I don't think I also needed to get them to get the full experience. Like they're just extra currency.
Yeah, it's like they're there if you need the currency and you're lucky enough to find them, but like there's no drive to find everything,
It's like if Dark Souls had a completion counter and included every fragmented like soul in the world as completion. Like, no, that's not feasible to do. I don't want to do that.
It just feels overwhelming, I guess, right?
Yeah.
This game must be smaller than Dark Souls, though, right? I haven't played Dark Souls.
It's small. It's certainly not square shaped. It's math, but it's decently big.
Yeah, it's interesting how a game like this, speaking of like size, like it can on the surface, like if you show someone a screenshot, like what we're looking at now, I think to like the average person, let's see like, oh, like 2D game, like simple, whatever. But like there's like, a surprising amount of depth in the design and like how the game's laid out, right? I don't know, it's just me, because I think like when you initially see pixel art, I think it paints like a certain picture in your head of like what the game will be like. But then when you play it, you're like, I'm just as invested in this as I would be like, you're like AAA, like third person over shoulder game or something. That all just comes down to the game feel, right?
I would say that, these are developers top of their craft, right? So I think that explains a lot of it. Even if it's pixel art, these are they know what they're doing.
Graham, what was your weapon?
I started off with the what do you call it? I forget the actual name, but yeah, the ball and chain thing. Just because I'm always like, I get so like FOMO for like, what if I pick the fast weapon and like it's too weak, or the slow heavy weapon and it's like I'm just dying all the time. So I always start off with the default, and I was like, oh, eventually I'll get the other weapons and whatever, I'll figure it out. But yeah, I love the whip, the ball and chain whip, just because it was like, yeah, it creates distance more so than I think most, besides obviously the gun. It just was doing its job. I'm like, okay. And then I did about like halfway through, I kind of went to the two knives, just because I had so much tanking ability that I'm like, oh, I can just like I'd mash my way to victory. Yeah. I did try out the gun for a bit. I did kind of like, it's like, oh, like the swing of the club was kind of like Link to the Past. It's like, oh, this kind of like I was almost trying to piece together like what every weapon, what game it connected to, and it's like, okay, obviously the whip is Castlevania. The kind of slashingness of that gun weapon, that's like Zelda. The gun part's Mega Man. And I couldn't really figure out like the hammer, but I was like, okay, I feel like there's like a DNA to all these weapons to some NES game or Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, there's definitely one reference I noticed, or at least it seemed like a very obvious influence, is like every boss you defeat, once you kill them, it's like there's this very kind of brutal scene where like their skin sheds and you see the skeleton of them. And then because the whole game is all picking up bones, but every single boss, it's like you just see their skeleton afterwards. And it reminded me of like, if anyone's played like Super Metroid, there's like a boss you beat where that exact thing happens, where like after you kill it, it's like skin kind of sheds or burns off, and then you have like the skeleton version of itself. And I just felt like a very clear callback to that.
I mean, also a lot of this art you've put in the slideshow, I'm also very impressed of just they didn't need so much. There's a lot of art.
It didn't have to go so hard.
Yeah, and there's a lot of art there that is like little side optional moments that they didn't need that. It's not even really needed for their promotional material. It seems like
Mina here, like looking at like the Kier box, it's like it makes it all feel more real, right? You're like, oh, it's kind of like when you
feels like manual art.
Yeah, just gonna say that. Yeah, like when you're looking at like a Link to the Past manual, and you're like, oh, this is what the world is supposed to look like through the eyes of the character, instead of like what you see on screen. I guess we can also go over, like, since we're going over weapons. Justin, what was your weapon?
I started off with the hammer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Another hammer.
I tried every weapon at some point. I didn't like the shield very much, and I ended up clearing the game with the whip, but I definitely beat a boss with every weapon at some point.
That's cool. I respect that. I think these days, like, I used to play games and just be like, oh, I'm going to stick with what's comfortable and what I know. But it's like, now I force myself to be like, I want to kind of experiment with everything. I think because of playing like roguelites and stuff like that, it's forced me to get used to the idea of just like trying different builds just to see how it feels. But that's cool that you did that. Okay. So sidearms. I don't have them listed here. I should have got those ready. But we'll just go over like what one stood out to you. I think for me at the beginning, I was using the axe a lot because it just felt like the most effective and useful. And then towards the end, I was really like taking advantage of that shield because it felt like a dodge, and I could just like skip over like platforming sections and stuff like that. Matt, we'll start with you. What were your sidearms of choice?
I guess I like the spinning dagger. To be honest, I feel like as much as you described the I don't know what's the word, trying out different things and trying all the different weapons in my head, I would like to do that, but also on the other hand, it's just so easy to fall back on easy technique, so I feel like I didn't rely on the sidearms actually too deeply. So I liked the more simple, easy to use ones like the throwing knife or the throwing axe, the ones that got kind of complicated.
Yeah.
I didn't like how they complicate the combat that much. My brain, I just didn't need that. With
the teleporter, there's only one instance where that made sense, and that's like when you were being chased down by the carving man, right? That was like the only good use of it.
I think personally, I just prefer to be forced to use some of the weapons. Yeah, sure, the choice, it's all very nice, mix and match, put it all together. But like, now, you know what? Just force me, give me only this weapon for this level, and fine, I'll get used to it. I'll appreciate it. But without that.
I did appreciate that there were some sections for like Bonestone rewards that were challenges that used the sidearms, like like a bike race or like using the little green dash. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of those because I actually really think that I feel like the sidearms are a little bit underused exploration wise, but mostly for combat they're all pretty fun. I would say like there's a couple that are duds, but like that's like I don't know the bike. I don't think you can kill many things with that.
Yeah, I never used the bike, but the bike race though I did finish, and that's one thing that like I was like I banged my head against doing. I would go until I ran out of like what do you call it?
The jewels.
Yeah, the jewels.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, you know what? I'll come back later. I'm not going to keep restocking my jewels. I'll come back when I have full jewels again. And eventually I beat it. But yeah, that was one where I was just like, oh, for some reason I was determined. But if there was more things like that, I think people would probably experiment more with like sidearms because you're forced to, right?
And
yeah.
I'm sure the game is balanced around it, but the fact that they do make you have ammo for it, and the fact when you die you lose your weapon unless you've done a late game upgrade, I feel like it really does discourage you from people even complained already about Hollow Knight Silksong, where when you use ammo for those weapons that doesn't replenish when you die. And I just feel like, and I kind of understand that, it makes sense. It makes sense in the balance of why they did it, but I do find it frustrating it does discourage experimentation.
I will say that I appreciate that in this game they had an upgrade for your under lab where you could have a refill station for your jewels.
Yeah, that was beauty.
That's something I kind of wish that Silksong had, because I remember I had to like leave the final boss arena 3 times to grind fucking shards.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some developer choices, kind of like we were talking about earlier with the lack of a map. It's like, for sure that's intentional from the developers. It's like, oh, we don't want you pressing triangle every 5 seconds to look at a map to get your things. We want you to explore, and you're looking at the environments that we've like put so much detail into. Because like for sure, I'm guilty of like looking up, let's say Zelda, like constantly consulting the map, like pinpoint exactly where I'm going. But it's like on the other hand, though, it's like, does it make it more frustrating? Like maybe there's a better way of doing it. Like how they do it in the game. It's like, yeah, they have that percentage thing where like, oh, you're missing a trinket in this generic area. Because they're so well hidden, or some of them could be at least. It can get frustrating if you are like someone like me that's like, oh, I want to find every single one, and I don't want to be missing out. For sure, it's like again, there is that FOMO of like, oh man, like I'm struggling on this boss. Like, what if there was some trinket I missed, 3 hours ago, that would make it trivial, or make it like a lot more interesting. So I think that's another reason why I was just like so determined to like get all those, check off all those boxes essentially.
Another sidearm I used a lot was the like little minion dude that would like level up the longer they were with you, and then eventually blow up.
Which one was that?
It was the one like the icon is like a collar. It's like a
collar. Yeah, I did like that one a lot.
Yeah, it came in handy a few times.
I think I just mainly use that drill shield thing that makes you go flying, because I use it mainly for its dashing ability. Like I barely used it as like a offensive weapon.
Yeah, Aiden, what were you gonna say?
I think by end game I was just good old knife, baby. Nothing beats knife. And
it's kind of like the boomerang, right? The knife.
Yeah,
and it comes back at you. You
can keep hitting it actually to keep like have it keep going out again, and then doing the end attack. Which is like hard to keep going, but when you do get it going, it feels pretty good.
I should have like had all like the bosses listed or something, like cause they all blur together in my head now, but I know there's definitely some that were tough, but like apart from like what we've already talked about, thank you, Jacob. I just want to hear, is there anything else that like really stands out to them, like in terms of certain areas? We haven't really talked about the astral area, which is like the Rainbow Road type area or anything like that. I didn't even realize you can go through the mirrors until like maybe 30% of my way through the game. And I was like, oh shit, I could have been doing this the whole time. But yeah, anyone like have anything that stick out to them that like we haven't really touched on? Is there a certain boss that comes to mind or a certain area that really stands out to you?
I loved the Bone Beach boss, just because it had like first phase was kind of interesting. Like you have to hit all of its eyes, and it's like kind of this chaos where like a bunch of stuff is happening. And then in the second phase, when there's one eye left, it's going crazy, and like the hazards just like multiply. They go crazy. But I love the complexity of it, especially for like it kind of like went against my tank build where it's like, yo, you can't just like button mash your way through this. You have to kind of like position yourself in the correct spot, and made me appreciate it more. And for sure, I died to that boss the most. I think also because I was like tackling it second out of the 6 main bosses. But yeah, I just love I love the variety too for all the bosses and you know enemies for the most part, and I guess there's a couple of mini bosses here and there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good boss. Speaking of like positioning yourself, like so the game is like on a 2D plane, but you can only go in like 4 or I guess kind of like 8 directions, right? And like that makes things tricky when you're trying to line up your shot and trying to like hit someone, as opposed to another game that might be like, you know, let's say like Hades, for example. You know, you can go all 360 directions when it comes to attack, and that like completely changes it. I know, Matt, you found that kind of frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's like very much true to its roots of being like on this sort of like 4-directional plane.
Well,
like
true to its roots, but no, that's even reverting. That's less than Game Boy Zelda. So that's like NES Zelda.
I didn't mind it, but it definitely took some time to get used to. But like, I don't know, I guess it didn't bother me that much. But I think because I was intentionally playing with like the directional pad, so like it didn't feel awkward to me. I think if I was playing with like only analog stick, like moving in 4 directions would have felt like frustrating. But
I do wonder, I think I mentioned in the chat of how would this game feel even if they had to do the 4-way direction, but at least twin stick controls. What if you could move and aim independently? You could at least attack while moving backwards. I do wonder.
It'd make the game a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, maybe. But then, you know, there's so many modifiers for making it easy. You know, it would be because I was saying, you know, it's funny, there's so many modifiers, but there's no modifier for attacking diagonally. That's just too powerful for the game.
That would break the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's Mina the Hollower. I have nothing more really to say about it other than like, I love the soundtrack. I thought it was like, it wasn't just like your typical chiptune fare. I felt like it was very well composed. A lot of the songs really stuck with me, and I was like looking forward to hearing them again. I put in the chat here that like the Good Harvest, which is like the September song, I thought was like so good, and I would like always play it in my underlab. I really enjoyed like just the characters and the writing. Like I think it's so charming now when like you play a game like this, and you know it has the dialogue boxes that like a lot of older games would have, but like the dialogue is written in a way that feels very modern and kind of like cheeky, and I really appreciate that too. But yeah, does anyone else have anything else to add? Otherwise, we can wrap things up and move on to the choices for next month.
I actually just wanted to say that, like, for the story, we kind of touched up on it earlier, but I did actually like, you know, the story is very minimal. Like, you know, you start off, you have this kind of inkling that something's going on with Lionel and stuff. But then for the most part, besides like talking directly to characters, there's not a lot of direct story given to you, except for when you beat one of those spark towers. But I did appreciate, you know, and obviously I was going for the minimalism because that's like the style of the time. Like that's how games used to be, where like the story was like the tertiary. But I loved kind of the ending where it does end with like a sort of like, you know, besides that one scene where you're kind of told all your sins, but like how the town hates you. Like the ending, the only ending you can really get, well, the 2 endings you can get. One is you completely bow to Lionel, which is like being sinless essentially, and you know, kind of join his billionaire cult of destruction, whatever that is. And then the second one, which is the standard ending, is like, oh, everyone hates you because they don't understand that you're like an eco-terrorist for good, you know. So I found that pretty interesting, like that it went that way when it could have easily just been like, oh yeah, like stories, you know, just like an NES game, like it's kind of like not important, but they did make it important in the end. You know?
Yeah, it has like a maturity to it, right?
Because it's also not just that everything collapses and everyone hates you. The little ending scenes, right? There are some where it's nature reclaiming itself. I think the bayou, these people, they're satisfied. It's a bit of a commentary of it's almost colonialism, right? Of the so it's almost like not all a bad ending yet. There's a little bit of layers to it.
It shows
I guess that's what I meant.
It shows that things will get better in time. It's just right now things are bad.
Yeah. It was an unconventional ending for sure, which I really appreciate. I was also sick when like Thorn came back and like helped you out with the fight, like Lionel in the end. I just love moments like that in games.
That was a Super
Metroid.
Yeah, exactly. Another like very clear influence. And then you end up on an island with Thorn in the end, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that for narrative potential, the second game, I want them to have Mina and Thorn, like maybe have Thorn as a second playable character, and that might be too much, or just have him as a tertiary character in the game again. But one thing they showed is that the Hollowers Guild got like blown up with everyone inside of it. I kind of wonder if Mina will be an outcast and like the Hollowers don't like her either because she led to that happening.
Maybe. Another thing, sorry, that we forgot to talk about. Last point. The Spark Towers themselves. I think that might have been actually the weakest part of the game. I still like found them okay. Like, and I think the fact that like you actually don't lose anything, like there's no consequence from like losing the Spark Tower. You can just keep retrying over and over and over again. But like otherwise, like that part just kind of felt like it kind of just capped off the areas, but it wasn't like necessarily as fun as the rest of the game.
Yeah. And I think they kind of realized, like, I was happy that the final boss part where you're ascending a Spark Tower wasn't really that, because you still had health and could move around freely. But I think they kind of realized that if they were any more consequential, like you could fail them and have to start a boss over or anything like that, or even just limited attempts, it would be too much. And I'm very happy they did that. But yeah, they felt a little too loose. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for the most part, like the devs were like very understanding of like how the player is going to feel about losing certain parts of the game, right? Like, okay, we don't want it to feel frustrating. You want it to be like punishing, but like not like annoying, right? I think they did a good job of that. But yeah,
I think so too. There weren't any crazy long runbacks that I remember. You typically spawned pretty close to the boss if you died.
Yeah, and there's even times where like you discover a new item or you discover something, and then like right after that moment happens, you find like an underlab hole or whatever, and you're like, oh, the perfect timing to find like one of those like underlabs like save point holes would like always come up. I found.
Yeah, I think the game has very good checkpointing.
For sure. Okay, we will move on and wrap things up. Last thing, actually, what do we want to see from Yacht Club games after like Shovel Knight and now Mina Hollower? Like, what genre would you like them to tackle, or what series do you think they should like continue based on how good this is?
I could see like just a straight up Metroidvania, like in the style of a Metroid, like with shooting and stuff, and big map with I can't access that door yet. I go back to it. Like, it almost seems like that's kind of the evolution they're heading in a way. Like, it's definitely more Metroid. I know, that's the problem.
I'm like so over them.
Yeah.
I think
they can do it really well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Aiden.
I would want to see something like that. I do think, though, given that Mina the Hollower was predicated by the studio having financial woes, I think they're probably going to go back to Shovel Knight for their next game. And I feel like it might... I hate saying this because it doesn't feel right, but it might be 3D. I feel like there's a lot of indie 3D platformers right now. I'm not sure if Yacht Club wants to step outside of 2D, though, but... I think it's also just sort of like a natural way they could take it, or they could do another 2D one and have a different art style, maybe, or just more of the same art style, I guess, if you want.
They are like very good at pixel art. Like, it feels extremely authentic. Like, I put in the chat that I actually hooked up my Switch to a CRT television because I was like curious, like, does the artwork actually blend together and stuff? And it looked like the way it should. Like, it was like incredible. I also went back to playing on my regular TV afterwards, but like still, it was like cool to see. I do wonder, if they switched to 3D, if they would lose a step, like if they wouldn't feel as high pedigree as they are, because like now you're being compared to all these other games, right?
Yeah, and it's not necessary. Like, I almost feel like a kid that had a Super Nintendo that's seeing an N64 and be like, I want my game to be 3D. I want my game to be 3D.
Yeah.
But I kind of always have imagined a Shovel Knight 3D game, and I feel like it would be kind of a big step. But it doesn't need to happen right away or ever, even if they don't want to do that. So honestly, I do think their next game will be a Shovel Knight, though. I feel like it's just
play it safe.
Play it safe. It's in the cards. It's a guaranteed crowd pleaser. He's like indie. He's like the face of indie games. Or like one of the faces of indie games.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. After much ado, we will move on. So, firstly, thank everyone for the Mina Hollow discussion. That was super good. I wasn't sure what we were going to get out of it because like I wasn't sure who was going to show up, but like that was fun. And I think like having some visual aids really helped with the discussion. I having like the trinkets and stuff, so I'll try and do stuff like that going forward. So for next month, I tried to, with these 4 games that I chose, I tried to take advantage of the Steam sale. So I believe these 4 games that I chose are all of them are at the very least 50% off. So they're all like quite affordable right now. But they're also all on multiple platforms. I'm trying to intentionally stick to games now that are like on consoles as well, because like that's just how some people prefer to play. Especially if you have like a Switch or something, you want to play in bed. But yeah, and they're all like quite different genres. But if everyone can watch the screen, I will now reveal the choices for June. All right, so we have Dread Delusion, Herald Halibut, Pacific Drive, and Season: A Letter to the Future. So all 4 of these games are quite different from one another, and that's intentional. I'll quickly read just a quick synopsis of each one. So Dread Delusion, an open world RPG brimming with strange places and dark perils. Discover curious towns, unearth occult secrets, master powerful magic, and change the world through your choices. It's very much like got like that PS1 kind of aesthetic. It's like open world 3D RPG kind of thing. Is also on Switch and the other consoles as well. Herald Halibut. This game I actually have never heard of up until me just doing some research. And like, this looks super cool. It's like a handmade narrative game about friendship and life on a city-sized spaceship submerged in alien ocean. But like what obviously was crazy about it is the aesthetic, because it almost looks like claymation. I don't think it is, but like it's just a very interesting artwork. Pacific Drive. This is probably the one that is like the most popular people here have heard of or have seen all over Steam. Face the supernatural dangers of the Olympic exclusion zone with your car as the only lifeline in this driving survival adventure. It's very simmy. It's very much like you have a car and it's very simulation based, very like detail oriented, and like your car is like your best friend as you survive in like this hostile environment. Last one is Season: A Letter to the Future. I wanted to throw like a more like walking sim type game in here just because like those are always fun to talk about because they're very narrative heavy. Leave home for the first time to collect memories before a mysterious cataclysm washes everything away. Ride, record, meet people, and unravel the strange world around you in a third-person meditative exploration game. So this poll, I will post it in the chat shortly or in the voting channel. I'll leave it up for 48 hours. The way the poll works is you cast your vote on 1 to 2 games. So you can choose to just vote for one if you want to be strategic about it. But this way it kind of gives you more options, and ultimately the game with the most amount of votes will be the game of July. And do your research of what platforms it's on, what the price is, how long it takes to beat, all the kind of stuff to see like what your choice is going to be. Has anyone played any of these and wants to speak to them?
Oh, I'd love to speak about Season. It is so good. I loved it. Like, for sure, it is a walking simulator where there's like not combat or anything, but I'm not going to go deep into it or anything, but You're basically making a scrapbook for like a dying world. And you're given, what are you given? Like a voice, kind of like a microphone recorder and camera. And you're essentially scrapbooking, but it's a lot funner than it is. And it's so unique in that you're able to, like, if we had to, whatever, be biased or anything, but if we were to pick that game, it'd be so interesting to see like everyone's different scrapbook in the end, because every single, it's completely freeform. Like you go into an area and there's different structures and different things you can interact with. And there's no real right way to complete a page. It's just like, do whatever you want. Like if you want to focus on these parts of this area, do that. So it's really cool. Also Canadian, I think. So that's a plus.
Oh, I didn't know that. I actually didn't look that up.
Yeah. Pacific Drive I have played as well, and that's a good game. I don't want to again be biased and be like, oh, this one's better. Also, it's a solid game.
We know what games you're voting for. Actually, I assume that you won't vote for them because you've played them, unless you want to have the.
I 100% will be voting for Season because I'd love to talk about that game. Okay. I love it so much. Again, not to be too biased, but
no, it's okay.
But Pacific Drive is solid too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, plus there's all the people who like aren't in this conversation who are going to vote, so they won't hear your opinion. Anyways. But yeah. Otherwise, anyone else want to speak to any of these if you have played them? Otherwise, that's good. I mean, that makes me happy to hear that no one's played them. Last thing I'll talk about, since I have some of you here. So I mentioned in the announcements channel that like next month I want to start like live streaming our discussions like publicly. I know this might be a bit of like a controversial thing because like we're all in here privately right now. There's a few reasons for this. First and foremost, this is an experiment. We can easily undo it. But we've been running this club now for almost 3 years, and it's been growing steadily, but we kind of, or when I say we, I mean me, but I want to see like what the next level or what the next stage of this club is. Like, what can it look like? What can it turn into? Right. And so I basically will be the same thing as what we're seeing here. What will be streamed to YouTube is just what you're seeing on the OBS screen. So anyone who's like on camera or anything like that, like none of that will be seen. It'll still be like quite private. It's just what you see in the top right side there that will be visible to the public. I'm completely open to feedback if people want to like push back on it and be like, hey, I'm not really into this, blah, blah, blah. Anyone can like message me privately or even start a thread and reply to it. I'm hoping this will lead to like more exposure. So like maybe more people will discover us and want to join a club. I'm not going to just open the door to anyone though. I'm still going to like vet people who come in because I want to like maintain kind of like the vibe that we have here, because I think that's a pretty good vibe. And, there are some like obnoxious, loud people out there who could like muck things up. What else? Oh, and like ultimately, like this isn't me looking for like donations or anything. Like I'm good. Like it's cool. But there is like an overhead cost to like running the club. And so by tipping our toe into the water of like exposing ourselves a bit more, like it can potentially lead to bigger things, which can lend, have the club pay for itself and then lead to things like, small indie dev wants to be like sponsored and be like, hey, can you say like my game is coming out soon? And here, I'll put like a little icon in like the window here. Like it's all in the name of like self-funding. So it's not looking to like necessarily make a profit or anything like that. And I just think like it's just it'd be cool to see like how far can this club go and what can it turn into. But I mean, ultimately, I want to maintain control of what we have here. I don't want to lose this or anything. That's pretty much it. I don't know if anyone has any like issues or anything like that, or has any comments, or even like has any ideas. Like I'm totally open to it. We're still trying to grow this thing into like something special, I guess. But that's all. Otherwise, thank you all for joining in the discussion on Mina Hollower. And I'm going to post a poll in the chat, and I'm curious to see what will win. So I'll talk to you all later.
Talking with you guys. Take care.
Yeah.